Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new, please check out the important links located in the comment section and the description box. In both of those locations, you all will find an identical set of links that link to the videos talking about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as some informational videos for targets, information about some of the technology used on targets, tactics used on targets, etc. Not going to be a long video, y'all. As you can see, the intro was very brief. Oftentimes, I'll go more in depth with my intro, directing you specifically to which videos I recommend you watch to hear my story, etc., etc. Not this morning, y'all. I'm tired. I didn't even have an intention to make a video. The next video I had intended to upload, y'all, was actually going to be a workout update for y'all to see what I'm looking like now. Remember, I told y'all this channel is not a niche channel, so I'm not focused on any one specific thing. Yes, I do cover the targeted individual phenomenon a lot on this channel, but it's not the only thing I talk about. I already told you all this channel is just about me in general. It's kind of like a vlog site mixed with a little bit of journalism because I'm doing research on the targeted individual program/phenomenon and also sharing my experience as a targeted individual. I talk about being neurodivergent. That's also something I talk about on this channel, living with ADD and Asperger's. So all of these things I talk about on this channel. There's a plethora of different information and topics that you can find on my channel, y'all. Anyways, so I didn't plan to come with another targeted individual video. I keep saying, I know y'all are tired of hearing me say that. I keep saying that, like, I'm gonna try to steer away from the targeted individual videos, and then boop, there you go, another video. But y'all know how it is. If you're targeted, it's like constantly things are happening and you really can't avoid it. It's just the state of your being at the moment when you're in this program. There's nothing you can really do you could try your damnedest to stay out of problems, stay out the way. It's just a constant thing when you're targeted. So it's not really anything you can do about it until you get out the program. Anyway, guys, so that's what leads to these videos. As much as my intention may be not to make them. But the next video, hopefully for real, if the Most High spares my life, will be a workout update. Similar to the one that I posted in December, a couple days after my birthday. This one. My videos of my 3-month workout results and B-Day post, age 32. That post 3 months ago. If y'all check out that video, you'll see 3 different very short clips of me in a short pants and a sports bra, just kind of showing y'all what my workout results were from working out for 3 months. At that point, I hadn't started going to the gym yet. I had only been working out at home, with makeshift workout equipment that I put together. I created an at-home barbell with water bottles and different things like that. I was just using at-home stuff. And so now, since December, we're now in April, for about 3 months and change, I've been going to the gym, y'all. So I've been hitting the gym. I've been eating protein, way more protein than I was doing back then. I've gained way more weight than then as well. So I look different, y'all. I have more results now, and so I do want to show y'all. So I'm just waiting, until I get a little bit more results, and then I'm going to show y'all what's going on. So hopefully that will be the next video I create and not something negative, because the targeted individual stuff, it always has a negative connotation to it. It doesn't matter how positive you try to be or how nice you try to say it or articulate whatever. It always has some sort of negative connotation to it. So hopefully it'll be like an upbeat video, workout video, the next video y'all see from me. Anyways, y'all, I just got off. Y'all know I do the night shift. I do security at night. That's what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm exhausted. So, it's going to be a very short video, y'all. I'm literally just documenting something that happened shortly before I got off. I don't even feel like I want to make the video, to be quite real with you, because it's something I've talked about like a broken record over and over and over and over. And I don't feel like every time this thing happens, I should have to make a video to defend myself. But it's literally just, like that instant reaction that you start to get after the thing happens. I talked about this already, y'all. everything I talk about in these videos, I've talked about already. That's why I keep saying I don't even feel like I need to keep making these videos. But then something happens where it's just like, you get the reaction, even though they know what's going on. And yes, I'm using the they know, because listen to the rooster drone going off as soon as I said, they know. That's gaslighting. But they like to use, I told y'all, the they know phrase on me. They like to throw that at me and sensitize me to that phrase. And that's not just specific to my targeting. From doing research, I realized that they use that on several targets. So that's kind of a universal phrase that they like to use. But anyways, they truly do know what's really going on. They know I didn't do anything. And what it is just kind of spiteful retribution for, like I've said in many videos, what they term is bearing false witness. But if you listen to my videos, y'all, you'll hear that technically I only bared false witness one time, years ago in my early 20s. The thing that started my targeting, that wasn't bearing false witness. I insinuated something. I didn't bear false witness. I didn't accuse. And that's very important, because the level of punishment I'm receiving, you would swear I had made some big, huge ass, accusation with that text message, and it was an insinuation and a question. I didn't accuse. Anyway, so that's what's going on. I already told y'all this already, those of you that have been following my story. They're basically just throwing like a bunch of accusations at me, like really heinous stuff too, and just trying to make me feel like accused and stuff. And so it's like constantly I feel like I'm going to bat, trying to defend my honor with all these different things. And then my brain is constantly being programmed with the shadow networking. Please, if you're new to the channel, don't start with this video, because you're going to be lost. I'm using targeted individual jargon, and I'm also covering topics that I've talked about in prior videos. Some of what I'm talking about, you can find links to information about it in my description box and comment section. But you really need to get up to date with my other videos, y'all. Don't start here, because you will be lost. So really, I'm talking to my subscribers that's been keeping up with my videos right now. But you know how they program your brain. I've talked about this in prior videos, where it's like constantly with the shadow networking, they're sending you videos with stimuli in it to sensitize you. And they have the technology to do that, y'all. Those of you that are new, if you still sat here and continue to listen, check out my pertinent information about the targeted individual video. The link is in the description box, where I discuss the shadow networking AI software that they utilize on targets to hack all of your technological devices, your cell phones, computer, TV, anything that can hook up to the Wi-Fi. And they hack everything, y'all. They hack your Facebook. They hack your TikTok, your Instagram, YouTube, Hulu, Netflix. If you play pool, they hack the pool game and start playing against you with avatars that have names or pictures to sensitize you. I've shown examples of this in prior videos as well, y'all. But this is technology that they have. It's called soft warfare. That's the other term for it. Shadow networking, i.e. soft warfare. It's all to psychologically harass the target. So these are real things that exist, y'all. You're not going crazy. Check out my videos, y'all. And not only have I shared information about that tactic that's used and that tool, that technology, but I've shown y'all examples too. Not just it being utilized on me, but on another target as well. So anyway, constantly being programmed, man, with these false narratives, like literally, y'all, nonstop, 24/7. As long as I'm using my technology, they are sending me things with subliminal messaging. And the main thing that I do is watch YouTube. I have a Kindle. I like to read books. I told y'all that I like to read romance books and other books as well, but mainly my favorite genre has always been romance novels. I don't feel comfortable reading them anymore because my thoughts are being projected because of the neuromonitoring. So it's almost like story time. Anytime I start to read my books, everybody's listening, and it's not like they're being quiet about it either. It's like Rev campaign is happening. They're interacting with me via noise campaign while I'm trying to read my book in my head. It's really a very odd, strange, psychological, high science program. It's very odd. It's very odd. So I don't even really like to read my books like that anymore. So really all I do all day long is stay on YouTube. And they do the shadow networking there as well. I've shown y'all examples of the type of videos they send me in my recommended. And I could watch movies on Netflix or Hulu, but they do the shadow networking there, and I just feel like it's worse in the movies than via these videos they send me on YouTube. It's odd. It's everywhere. They're sending it to me 24/7. But I find that it's a little less, not really, not totally, but just like kind of a little less creepy on YouTube. When it comes to the movies, they start really sending me creepy stuff. It's just weird, y'all. They sent me something very creepy last night. I don't even want to talk about it. Pertaining to the text, that false narrative. I'm not going to give it light or energy. But they sent me something very creepy and they mixed it in with the correction officer thing. Remember I told y'all that I applied to become a corrections officer. This was all the way at the end of last year. Took the psychological evaluation at the end of last year. And then I hadn't heard back for a few months. And so I was just kind of waiting and trying to keep my head up, trying to stay out of trouble. And when I say stay out of trouble, y'all, I've never been a troublemaker. I've never been the kind of girl to get in trouble. I've always been a good girl. Never even had a speeding ticket prior to my targeting. You know, just nothing, no record, just out of trouble. That kind of girl. And then this targeting thing started, and you know how that is once you become targeted. It's like a freaking shit show, pun intended. And so it's just when I say stay out of trouble, I'm just talking about my reactions. And I'm not the kind of reactive type of person where I get physical. I've never been that kind of girl. Thank the Most High. But my mouth, like, that's what I mean, stay out of trouble. Like, I make these videos and sometimes I say things, and even if what I'm saying is real, I can get backlash or punishment for it, especially if I don't word it correctly. So it's just like, that's what I mean when I say stay out of trouble. So I was trying to just stay out of trouble because I hadn't heard back. I was like, oh my God, I really want this job. And so I was just, trying to make the videos and trying to, not tiptoe around in a way so I could stay out of trouble. And then I did hear back like about 2 weeks ago from the person that's in charge of that job. And also too, I think it was more than just specifically what's going on with me. I do believe an element of that might have been played a part in things, but I think also too, it's a process with that job. I was told that in the beginning, when I had the first interview, I was told it's going to take a while, and that there were several steps you have to go through. So I was prepared for that. Anyway, so I heard back. I told you I had an agility test scheduled. I took it yesterday morning. I passed. I did really well, which I was so glad for. The jog, as I expected, kicked it. Excuse me, y'all. I'm tired. The jog kicked my ass like I expected it to, but I passed. So I'm like, okay, next step. Like, I know the next steps are coming and I don't want to get in problems. But then something like what happened this morning happened. And I'm like, I have to talk about this. Like, defense of me again, advocation of me and protecting myself. Because I can't just let that rock now, because then it's this kind of thing where it starts to get ran. I talked about this in several videos. So let me show y'all the video I recently, because, there are several of you that actively watch my videos and keep up with my videos and you interact with me. So you've likely seen the video I'm about to reference, right? This video. It was part 2, targeted individual reactive abuse documentation. And that night I was just kind of telling y'all, this was a while ago. Y'all can see that was like 3 weeks ago. Excuse me, something that happened at night when I was working, when I was doing security. This reaction that I had to gang stalking, basically, like people kind of pulling up on me at work. And it was just kind of like, it seemed like, check out the video, y'all. I don't want to reiterate what happened in that video. But basically around that time I was PMSing. And I had like several cars pull up on me that night. I didn't really know why that was happening. It was the way it was being done. When you're being gang stalked. And so it's just like, first I pulled up at the drink machine to get a drink. As soon as I pulled up, this car pulls up on me and they slam out the car, and they're staring at me and they're turning up the music loud, this kind of way, right? So that happened. And then, I went over to the other part of the shopping center where I like to park, and someone parked right on top of me again as soon as I parked up. So I was just like, what is going on tonight? This was 3 weeks ago, y'all. And so I got mad and I had a reaction, and not, again, a physical one. It's never going to be that with me. It's more so like, again, my mouth or my thoughts, because remember, your thoughts are being projected when you're targeted. You're neuromonitored. You're microchipped without your consent. An RFID chip is put in your brain and they can broadcast your thoughts. Y'all check it out. This is real technology. You see that video there that I put up 8 days ago? Mind reading technology used on targeted individuals. We're in a new day and age, y'all. So this stuff is real. And I'm trying to be careful. I don't want problems and I don't want to jeopardize what's going on with me. I'm trying to be careful, but I need to document. So I'm just keeping it real with y'all. So anyways, that's what happens. Your thoughts are being projected. You're being gang stalked. You're being watched constantly via these insect drones. So they have drones that look like birds. They have drones that look like insects. With little, cameras, microphones, everything. So everything you're saying, everything you're doing is being watched and listened to 24/7. You have not even a shred of privacy. And then to further invade your privacy, your thoughts, your very innermost thoughts are being projected to everyone. So you can imagine the level of torture that is to deal with that 24/7. That's what you encounter as a target. So anyways, that's where I get in problems, because my reactions, again, they're never physical, and I'm never ever having a reaction to someone's face. It's always in the privacy of my car or in the privacy of my mind, but I still get punished for the reaction. And so that video that you see there that says part 2 targeted individual reactive abuse from 3 weeks ago, where I told you they were kind of pulling up on me randomly that night. I didn't know what was going on that night. I don't know what caused it, but I felt like they were pulling up on me, that video. I just started to get really annoyed that night, and I was PMSing. Kind of similar to what's happening now. It's like, it's always around the time when my period's coming. It never fails, where something strange will happen. And it never, I'm telling you, it never fails. Anyway, so that night I was just really irritated. And I remember just going into the bathroom. I had went in the office, and that night the car was down, the vehicle patrol car. Typically there are 2 of us out there at the shopping center. You'll have a guard that drives the vehicle patrol car, and then you'll have a guard on foot. And so that night I was on foot, and my coworker was supposed to be driving the vehicle patrol car, but the car was down. It wasn't working that night. So he was in the office, and typically he's not in the office. Most of us, we don't go in there. We go in there to get stuff, like to either go in the bathroom, microwave food, put something in the fridge, sign in, that type of thing. Typically when we work out there at that post, we don't sit in the office like that. You can, it's not a problem, but most of us don't. We'll either sit in our vehicle, or we'll be in the vehicle patrol vehicle, driving around doing our rounds and stuff. So that night he chose to sit in the office because the vehicle patrol vehicle wasn't working. So when I went in there, I went to grab the key to use the bathroom, and I'm already irritated because they kept pulling up on me that night. But I wasn't irritated with him. I had no issue with him. I'm just hearing a lot of noise in the background, y'all. It's really like getting to me while I'm trying to speak. Anyways, so I wasn't irritated with him at all. Very nice to me. Out of all of my, all of them are nice. It's not even this thing where I can say this person more than others. I mean, there are some coworkers I would say are more friendlier than others, but all of them have been pleasant. I've had no issue with anyone. I told y'all there was like one coworker, this guy, I'm not going to go into details about it, where it seemed like he kept having conversations with innuendos in it with me. And it seemed like he had it almost felt like this personal issue with me, but it was never like overtly nasty enough for me to like straight up say issue. And things have been better since then. So it's like, I even took down this video I had created about him, right? Things have been better. But aside from him, I haven't really had issues with my coworkers like that, so it's not anything like that. Nothing negative. But specifically with this coworker I'm talking about, he's like super friendly with everyone. Like he calls everybody buddy. He's just really friendly. So it's like I have no issue with him at all. He's very friendly. So I went in there, and even though I was in an annoyed mood, I would never project that on someone else. That's just not the personality that I have. Never been that way. So I told him good night. He told me good night. He was in a good mood. He said, "Hey, buddy." He said, "Do you know the supervisor? Which supervisor is on tonight?" I said, "Hey, no, I have no idea." I said, "Maybe you can call and find out." I said, "I have no idea." And he said, Okay. I grabbed the key, went to the bathroom, and then while I'm in the bathroom, I told y'all this happens to me at work all the time. It's not as bad now. They still do it. They still fly the mosquito for me to see it. But I remember when I had first started, like at the end of last year, they were really flying the mosquitoes around, boy, and like flying it in my face every time I'm going in there, landing it on the toilet water and just really antagonizing me. And it hasn't been as bad, right? But this night where I'm annoyed, I had just had some annoyed thoughts in my head in my car prior to the interaction with my coworker about the cars pulling up on me. I was just like, man, this is going to be an annoying night. It's what I thought in my head. Then I went into the bathroom. Right? And so I went to use the bathroom. They're flying the mosquitoes everywhere, flying it in my face. I'm seeing it landed on the water. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on tonight? Is how I felt. This is me telling y'all about what happened 3 weeks ago. Right? So anyways, I used the bathroom. I wiped whoa, I'm sorry. Whoa. I didn't even mean to say that. Y'all, I'm hearing y'all know how the noise campaigns work. And I have ADD. I did not mean to say that. I'm just like trying to focus on what I'm saying and tune out the noise, and I'm exhausted too, y'all. I did not mean to say that. But anyway, so I got myself together. and I left the bathroom. And as I'm leaving the bathroom, I hear Rev Campaign, like a lot of Rev Campaign. I just thought in my head, it was a weekend night too. When this happened, it was Saturday night, and I was PMSing, and they kept pulling up on me on that night. I already told y'all the worst nights for me to work are Friday and Saturday nights, because those are the busiest nights. That's when the roads are packed with people. More Rev Campaign happens, more noise campaign. So for me, those are the most irritating nights to work as a target, right? So anyways, hold on one second. Anyway, so those are like the most irritating nights for me to work as a target. And so I just noticed that, that night in particular was just terrible. I was PMSing. It was a Saturday night, so it was a lit night. And then they were like acting up and parking up on me. I didn't know why they were doing it. So as I'm walking back to the office, I just thought in my head, man, this is going to be an annoying night. I thought the thought. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't act nasty towards anyone. I just thought the thought in my head, man, this is going to be an annoying night. I thought very, angrily in my head. Then I went in the office, I dropped the keys off, and I kind of noticed my coworker was crunched up in the corner. The same buddy guy that's really nice. And like kind of like crunched up in the corner, like whoa, she's in bitch mode type of way. Like he didn't say that, but like it was a different demeanor that he had from when I had left the office. And I think obviously he was probably hearing my thoughts like everyone else. They project your thoughts when you're targeted. And so he probably thought, whoa, she's in bitch mode tonight. Let me stay out her way kind of way, even though I didn't project that on him or towards him. So anyway, I went to my car, and I noticed when I went to the gas stations, I'm not going to go into the details about it because I talked about it in this video, y'all, that went on the screen, part 2, targeted individual reactive abuse documentation. I'm just trying to refresh your memory on that video. If you saw it already a while ago, or if you didn't get a chance to see it, I wanted to give you like a summary of what happened. But anyways, So basically, I noticed when I went to the gas stations, I just started noticing like this synchronicity with the people. And this is typically what happens when you have a moment where you react or something happens because of the programming to your brain and whatever else is going on around you. You just notice like this movement, like this synchronicity that starts to happen. And so I noticed I went to the first gas station and I was seeing antics being done. Went to the second gas station because the first one didn't have what I wanted. I noticed antics happening there. And then I also noticed outside of that gas station, there were people in red and white shirts parked outside. It was just like they started to amp up like real bad because of my thoughts of it being an annoying night. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm just reacting to what's going on. I'm like, I hope they don't think I was saying it's an annoying night because of my coworker, because my coworker's in the office. This is what I thought in my head. I'm like, why else would they be amping up like that? I know they're not gaslighting me and amping up the targeting because I'm annoyed at the fact that they kept pulling up on me. I'm like, and they're reffing like crazy tonight. I'm like, they wouldn't be gaslighting me about that. So maybe they think that I was thinking it's an annoying night because he's in the office. That's what I thought. I don't really know. And I didn't have any nasty reaction towards him, then that to tell you that I didn't have when him and I are still cool, just the other, anyway, I'm not going to go into details. Him and I are still cool since that night. So I don't know. I didn't really understand it. And I created that video. I documented what happened that night. But since then, everything's kind of pretty much been cool, even keel at work. They still do the Rev campaign 24/7 whenever I work and, I'm watching stuff and the shadow networking is happening. I just, it's not something you really get used to, but you do kind of get desensitized to it. But other than that, it hasn't been as bad as that night where I documented since then. I did have something else happen with this homeless guy that I documented in this video. Discussion and more targeted individual documentation from 2 weeks ago. Something that happened with him. I'm not going to go into the details about it right now. That was something else that I didn't really understand that started happening. I'm not going to go into the details about it right now, y'all. Y'all check out that video if you have the time. But other than those two isolated things have been pretty decent at work for me, right? So last night I worked. Everything was cool. I didn't really have any issues. This morning, I was in a good mood. I was putting together my workout schedule, just picking and pulling apart some stuff, adding some new things to my regimen, just trying to get it all in one place because I do have a new phone now, right? And so I had like bits and pieces of my schedule all over the place. And so I was trying to put my schedule together in one place, right? Guys, oh boy, I'm hearing the generator now. It's just like different noise campaigns in the neighborhood going on, y'all. There's different new noise campaigns going on. Anyways, So anyways, I just wanted to get everything put together in one place. And so this is what I was trying to do. I've been procrastinating. I'm a major procrastinator. That's poor grammar, but I love procrastinating. And I'm when I say love, I don't really love it, but that's what I do. I have ADD. And so for the longest time since I've gotten this one, I kept saying I need to sit down and I need to put my workout schedule together in one message. One comprehensive message is what I need to do. And I kept just procrastinating, y'all, procrastinating. And this morning I said, let me sit myself down and really put it together now, because today is supposed to be a leg day. I don't know if the gym is going to be open or not. It is Easter Monday, but in case it is open, I did want to have my schedule put together. So anyways, I did that, y'all, and everything was going good. The supervisor came. We had some conversation with her, very friendly, very nice. Everything was good, y'all. Good morning. It was a good morning, right? I had a good night at work. Nothing bad, nothing weird, nothing crazy. Yes, the typical Rev campaign, but nothing out of the ordinary, right? I even had a coworker, right? I've talked about this coworker before that I've given a ride to, that I have somewhat of a friendship with. This elderly coworker that he's like a maintenance man. Listen to the ambulance, y'all. I don't know if the video's picking up on that or not, but I hope it is. As soon as I mentioned my elderly coworker, right, all of a sudden they're making, I don't know why they're doing the ambulance. I'm baffled, y'all. I have no clue why they're doing the ambulance. I have no idea. Anyways, I had a brief mini interaction with him as well, because I was sitting in the office trying to charge my phone. Excuse me, I'm sorry, y'all. And when I'm coming out of the office now, he walks up to the office and he said he saw me walking out of the office and he came to say hello. And so then he said, this morning I had missed my ride, I think is what he was telling me. He looked at the time and he realized that he had missed his ride. And the Vitran, which is the public bus, y'all, public transportation, went out of their way to pick him up and give him a ride right where he needed to be. And so he said, you see how it is when you're nice and this and that, when you're nice to people, or whatever he was saying. And so I think in that conversation, he was trying to hint to me basically that the reason I was having trouble with the public transportation is, I guess, because of my disposition or how they view me as a person. And so I think this is what he was trying to hint to me basically in that brief conversation. But prior to us having that conversation, I was sitting in the office charging my phone and I was watching this video. I already told y'all about this show. I just showed y'all in not the last video I posted. The last video I posted was a poem. The video before that, the part 4, example of the shadow networking AI software used on targets. Remember, I told y'all earlier in this video, I've created several videos showing y'all examples of what it looks like when they change the technology and they send you videos with stimuli in it to sensitize you. Anyway, so, oh my God, I forgot what I was going to say. Whoa, it's too much noise campaigns, y'all. I'm tired. Oh my God. Oh yeah. So anyways, in that part 4 video, that was an example of them shadow networking, and they were using a show called What Would You Do, right? And so this morning now, when I was charging my phone, I was watching that show again, and they were shadow networking again. I was watching the same What Would You Do show. And basically, if you didn't get a chance to watch that video, y'all, the What Would You Do show is basically a show where they set up these scenarios, right? Similar to like theater, what they do with theater to targets. You know how they set up these weird street theater skits to see what your reaction will be? That's similar to the What Would You Do show. Basically, they set up like these scenarios, these controversial scenarios around random people, though, not targets, just the general public, right? And then they record it to see what different people's reaction to that stimuli will be, right? So this morning I was watching What Would You Do? And this time it was about discrimination against short people or little people. And so basically the guy was trying to get hired. It was a midget. So he was trying to get hired, and the guy that was supposed to be hiring him on was a complete asshole. He was just being totally discriminatory towards towards the midget, and just saying some really off-kilter, stuff. And he was saying some horrible jokes too, like you got some big shoes to fill, and, just horrible stuff, man. And so you could see the people sitting to the side, like looking at him egregiously, like, what is going on? Are you serious? So, it was shadow networking. They even had the plaid shirt and everything. And it's the stuff they were saying too. They were inserting words like great and bullshit, those words that I told you they like to sensitize me to. And so I'm just thinking to myself, I know they're not trying to compare what I said to this one guy in my early 20s years ago in reaction to what he had sent to me. I know they're not trying to compare that to this guy literally teasing somebody that has a disability, because dwarfism and being a midget is a disability. And so you bullying somebody like that, you're literally bullying somebody that has a disability. I was reacting to what was sent to me first, in my youth, by the way. I was in my early 20s, to a guy that's not even a midget. He's my height. He's just, in my opinion, and that's very subjective, short for a man, in my opinion. And still not even that short. It's not that serious. But they're comparing that to this, and then recently I clarified those comments and I made it very clear that I don't have an issue with shorter men. I even went as far as to be transparent and say that it stems from insecurity within myself. Now, hear them barking the dog. Anytime I'm transparent, y'all, and I keep it real, they use it against me. Rather than saying, okay, she's being real and transparent, they would still take what I'm saying instead and use it to weaponize what I'm saying against me. That's what they do. As soon as I said that thing about short men and the fact that it stems from insecurity within myself and feeling like I've always been a bigger woman, and so I want a man that makes me feel feminine, me saying that, they started to shadow network and send me women that are like men, women that look like men. This is the type of stuff they do when you're trying to be transparent. And then if you get mean and nasty, then they gaslight you and make it like you're a mean person. You get what I'm saying? There's no winning. It's damned if you do and damned if you don't. It's weird. This program is so weird, man. Anyways, there's nothing manly about me, y'all. I've never been told that I look like a man. I'm very feminine. I'm 5'8", so I'm a tall female. There's nothing manly about me. But at the same time, it's always been an insecurity of mine, my height. It's something I love. But at the same time, it's also been a source of insecurity for me. When I was younger, the funny thing about it is I was very short. Like, out of all my siblings, I was the shortest, and they all thought I was going to be short. All the way up until 9th grade. Like, I was short. They thought I was going to be the short one. And then in 9th grade, I had this random growing spurt, and I went all the way up to 5'8". And then at that point, I started realizing, wait a minute, damn, I'm tall, And so it paid off when it came to sports, like basketball and stuff like that. But at the same time, it was a source of insecurity for me in a way, because I always felt like the big girl in a way. Not even that big. I'm 5'8". There are girls that are taller than me. But at the same time, it was just this kind of complex within myself where I felt like, okay, I'm a tall woman. I'm strong too. It's not like I'm just, wiry. Let me be careful with my words. I always say stuff that offends people. But like, I'm a hefty girl. Like, not hefty as in like thick. I got meat on me. But built. I've always been athletic. And then I'm 5'8". And so for me, I just always felt like no disrespect to somebody that's shorter than me. I'm not trying to disrespect, because they keep making it like I'm a bully, and I'm not. I'm just keeping it real about how I feel. I'm just being transparent. I've always felt like men that were smaller than me couldn't handle me. That's just how I felt. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, and they didn't make me feel feminine enough. That's just a personal preference. There are girls bigger than me that date short men, and they don't have a problem with it. It's a preference. I'm not wrong for having a preference. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so it's nothing personal with short men. But when I said what I said back in my early 20s as a dig at that guy, I literally was just trying to be a bitch. In response, again, reactive abuse to what was sent to me first. So anyways, I don't have an issue with short men. But it's just this thing, one of the many things that they ran with to try and paint me as monster bitch, right? And so now they're, they tried to shadow network and throw me that thing about, this guy bullying basically somebody with a disability, dwarfism, a midget. That's not comparable to me at all. And this is what they do. Like, they'll take these things, like these little things about you that might be negative or might seem negative. That's not really a negative thing. Yeah, what I said to that guy was negative, but my preference isn't negative. But they'll take it and they'll spin it and create these false narratives and make it into this obscene thing. It's crazy, and they're very good at what they do. Anyway, y'all, I'm just trying to get myself together, y'all. Anyway, so that's what they were doing. They were shadow networking like crazy this morning with the what would you do thing. And so as soon as I left the office, and then I saw that coworker, the older coworker, and he made the comment about getting the ride from the public transportation and them taking him exactly where he needed to go and just being nice to people and that type of stuff, I knew where he was going with that. Because obviously, like everyone else, he probably saw me watching that thing about the dwarfism. I was kind of just trying to hint to me, that's one of the many things or reasons why you're receiving this type of treatment. But I'm just thinking to myself, that's one of the many misunderstood things. Like, I don't think that of all things should be something that's tacked onto me in a negative way. I don't. Anyway, so that happened though. That wasn't bad. That wasn't a bad thing because he still came and gave me a hug, was friendly with me. Like I said, we have somewhat of a friendship, so that wasn't a problem. That wasn't where things went bad at all. I'm just telling you it was a good morning, despite the shadow networking and that little message where I felt like he was trying to hint to me something, right? So then I sat in my car and I started putting my workout schedule together. And so while this is happening, my mom starts texting me. And my mom right now is in the States. She went up there to check on my brothers or whatever. I'm not going to go into details here. And I don't usually mention family or friends. I always say someone in my close circle. But I'm not saying anything specific to that person. I'm just kind of telling y'all that she and I were texting back and forth. But I'm not telling you anything specific about her to where I would feel like I need to conceal her identity. So anyway, she and I were texting back and forth. And, we have like these virtual pets that we're taking care of that we're all kind of like in this group chat with. And so we were discussing the health of the pets, and then we started talking about real dogs, and the fact that we want a real dog and what kind of breed we want. And so while we're having this conversation, I used the acronym TBH, to be honest, right? And I was telling her, to be honest, I don't even remember what I was telling her, y'all. I can't even remember. It was just something, a part of the conversation where I used that acronym. As soon as I wrote, to be honest, and my mom asked me, what does TBH mean? And I explained to her that it was an acronym for to be honest. I start hearing the bird drone going off, making loud noise about the to be honest, again, kind of gaslighting me and insinuating that I'm a liar. I've never been a liar, y'all. One thing about me, I'm a very honest person to a fault. And that's what keeps getting me in problems, is that I'm so real. I'm so real that I don't really care. I do care, but it's to the point where I'm not going to compromise my realness to appease anyone. And it makes me get in problems, more and more problems, especially with these videos. So for me, it's like, it's crazy. It's gaslighting when I feel like you give me backlash for these videos. You hint to me that I say too much, that I'm revealing too much. But then you turn around and kind of contradict and say that I'm a liar. If I were a liar, then I wouldn't be saying all the things I'm saying and being so transparent. And obviously giving you bullets to shoot me too, because I've been giving them bullets like crazy with my realness. I don't lie. That's one thing about me. I'm not a liar and I never have been. That's never been an issue of mine. I do have negative things about myself that I can be real about. That's not one of them. So anyway, they're gaslighting about that. And I'm hearing the bird drill going, ooh. So I looked up, in the sky at the bird. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And again, y'all, check out the links in my description box. If you're new to the channel, you still sat through this video. They have a plethora of different, not plethora, wrong word. They have an arsenal of insect drones that they utilize on targets. And bird drones are one of them. Birds that look like real birds, y'all. On the power lines. Cameras, microphones, everything, y'all. And they make these generic bird sounds. Sometimes it sounds authentic, but it really sounds generic for the most part. And they'll make it go off like they're doing now. I don't know if you could hear it. Listen. They stopped. Anyway, they'll make it go off at certain points. Like just in that moment when I was explaining to my mom what TBH stands for. And so I'm like, to be honest, I'm like, what? I'm putting my hands like this, but then I still just ignored them and I rolled my eyes. And I continued putting my workout schedule together. So that was the start of the triggering of my programming though. Because again, it's this insinuation of me being a liar, right? So that's the triggering of my programming and my PTSD and what I've gone through, right? But anyways, that's nothing, I still kind of brush it off. I'm used to that stupidness being thrown at me among many other false accusations. Again, vigilante retribution for what they term as bearing false witness. So anyways, I continue writing my thing, putting my thing together. And I ended up kind of like turning my car around, right? I went to turn the car around so I could finish putting my schedule together. And so that bird thing happened. And then after that happens, I start putting my meal prep together, because I wanted it all to be in the same space. My meal plan and my workout plan. So as I'm putting the meal plan together, I'm writing that I want, as my diet plan, I'm writing that I want to eat grass-fed ground beef, right? Organic grass-fed ground beef, or wild-caught salmon, or wild-caught tuna. And those are the best qualities of meat you can find. I haven't been keeping up with it, y'all. That's the plan. That's what I have written in my meal plan. But when I can, I get ground beef, however I got to get it. So sometimes I'm just getting regular, actually most of the time, recently, I've been getting just regular ground beef. I actually just recently started buying hamburger patties and seasoning it up and making it up with onions and stuff and making burgers and stuff. So I haven't really been keeping up with the health aspect the way I want to. I'm more so focused on the bulk right now and getting the pounds on. And then I'm going to focus on the health aspect of it and really trying to be healthy. But I do have it written in my meal prep that I want the grass-fed ground beef, I want the wild-caught salmon, and I want the wild-caught tuna. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So as I'm typing in wild-caught tuna, I'm thinking the thought as I'm typing it in, they're listening to my thoughts, they're watching me like a hawk. As I'm writing in wild-caught tuna, I start hearing noise. I start hearing them making noise campaign. So when they made the noise campaign about wild-caught tuna, the name of the person that I was sensitized to from sending the text started to pop in my head. And I stopped it. It didn't fully pop in my head, but it started to. Of course, then they start to simulate and start to do noise campaign. They didn't go that ham, really and truly, because there have been moments when they've gone more ham. They really didn't. But then I really started hearing the bird going, woo, the big loud noise. And it felt awkward and weird. It's always embarrassing and weird when that happens, even though I know I've more than explained that it's programming. They know it. I don't even have to explain. That's what they really do know. And they also know that I didn't do anything. Just recently, someone in my close circle, when I was coming on the porch, she was talking about the bathroom thing. I forgot how we started talking about my bathroom OCD. And she started talking about when I was in the Airbnbs, one of the Airbnbs I was staying in. She said, oh my gosh. She said, remember you were taping up the bathroom door? She said, remember you had tape all over the bathroom door? And I said, yes. I cracked up. I said, you remember that? And she said, yes, of course. She said, we all remember that. And I said, no, I'm just glad you said that out loud. And she said, oh boy, I don't have time for the craziness with you. And I didn't even care about that, her saying that, because I was still just so glad that was a moment where what I had said in my story was validated. Because everything I say can be validated, right? The thing that led up to me sending the text, y'all, was what happened in the Airbnbs. Everything that I've said can be corroborated and validated. I have a bathroom OCD. That's what led to the stupid drama in the Airbnbs. That's what led to about 2 to 3 months of torment in that third Airbnb. And then me coming home with trauma and PTSD, getting in the fight with the people in my close circle, and not accusing, asking them if they were in the hallways basically doing what had just happened to me for a few months in the Airbnbs in Florida. It was all a trickle effect, y'all. Everything I say can be corroborated. They know I didn't do anything. They're literally spitefully pushing false narratives to malign me because they think I bear false witness. And also, let's add the cherry on top, they think I'm a bitch. So they think I'm a bitch and they think I deserve it. That's what it's about. Anyway, so I'm just like, when is this going to stop? It's like, I don't even feel like I should have to keep making these videos. But every time it happens, like a moment like that will happen, they'll still gaslight me. They know it's programming. They know they just made noise campaign about the wild caught, and that popped in my head. They're still going to start to simulate and move funny this kind of way to make me feel accused and make me feel embarrassed about what just happened. Even though it's obvious why that just happened. It's programming. It's similar to, again, not to sound like a broken record, when you sit in a movie theater and for 30 seconds, they pop a Coke ad on, and the next thing you know, Coke pops in your head. It's the same thing that they do to you with stimuli in this program when they sensitize you to certain things. It's the same thing, but it's more invasive because they're constantly programming your brain with whatever it is they're trying to sensitize you to. So it's not a 30-second ad in a movie. It's an all-day assault, psychological assault. And so the shit is going to pop in your head. Especially when they make noise for certain stimuli they've already sensitized you to that relates to the situation or whatever it is they're sensitizing you to. So I'm like, I don't really feel like I need to keep making these videos. They know what's going on. They really do know. Yes, I'm using that stimuli. They really do know what's going on, and they're still gaslighting me and doing all this kind of stuff. I'm just like, oh my God, why do I feel like I don't feel like I have to keep making these videos to defend myself. They know what's going on. They really do know, right? I'm tired, but I'm like, oh my God, let me still, I just still feel like, because I know how it works. I know as soon as a low moment like that happens, even though they know how it works and they know that it was programming and they know that it was a reaction to noise campaign that made my brain tick. That's what I call it. I call it a brain tick. I know instantly it's going to be this synchronization and I'm going to start to get this reaction with the gang stalking as it relates to what just happened, that little moment. I told y'all that. That's why I created that reactive abuse part 2 video, because the same thing happened where they were pulling up on me and then I had that annoyed reaction in the privacy of my car and my thoughts, my brain. And then I go to the gas stations and I kind of notice this kind of Things starting to happen outside the gas station, people in red and white shirts, just standing there like they're hanging out, like it's a hangout spot watching me, that kind of way. So anyway, I get home now. After that little thing happened there at the shopping center, I get off, I get home. I'm coming out the car. I notice as soon as I come out the car, I don't want to go into too much details. I don't want problems. I told you I'm going to be very careful with these videos. I don't want problems. But I have to advocate for myself. I just noticed like certain noise campaign a little amped up this morning. And I knew it was about that. And it's just like, it's gaslighting. And it's like what they do with this program. They gaslight like crazy. They gaslight like crazy, man. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about it, y'all. It's not going to be a long video. I just wanted to talk about that. I'm tired, man. I wasn't trying to make no long video, y'all. I really wasn't. There's something that happened yesterday, too. I kind of felt like I could talk about right now, but I'm tired and I don't really feel like it. I don't even know if I want to touch on that, not to use that stimuli. Ugh. But I don't even know if I want to talk about that. I wasn't going to make a video about that, but since I'm here talking anyways, I already have a video about that, my narcissism video. But another thing they do where they try to get you to believe, that's a tactic that's used in the program. It's psychological warfare, and one of the things they do is come for your self-esteem. And they'll try to get you to believe things that aren't true about yourself. And trying to get you to feel down about yourself and just kind of doubt yourself. And it's very comprehensive too, because if everybody, right, and it's not everyone, I keep making sure to say that. A lot of people are involved in my targeting, just as I'm sure they are in yours, but not everyone's involved. A lot of people are involved. Not everyone's involved. I guarantee you not everyone's involved. Trust me. But a lot of people are. And with my targeting, everyone's privy. So whether they're involved or not, they're definitely privy to what's going on with me. Everybody knows. They all know, right? I'm using that stimuli again, right? But a lot of people are actually involved too with my targeting. And so it's this kind of way where if the majority starts to project this reality on you, whether it's true or not, I've said this already, y'all. I talked about this in detail in my part 3 example of the shadow networking AI software used on targeted individuals video, right? Another good example, y'all, stalked by the media. Check that video out, y'all, if you haven't seen it. I showed you a clear example of them using the AI shadow networking software on another target. And I also talked in detail about some of these tactics they use on targets. Anyway, in that video, I was also talking about what I'm kind of talking about right now. What I am talking about right now is the fact that if they all collectively get together, right, and start to project a certain narrative your way, whether it's true or not, that becomes your reality, because you live in the same world as everyone else, and whatever reality the collective is projectively pushing towards you, that becomes your reality, whether it's true or not. So for instance, if the majority wants to get together and act like you smell bad, and they all start to hold their nose and say you stink, whether you stink or not, you become the stink girl. That becomes your reality. If they all want to get together and say that you did a certain thing, whether you did it or not, that becomes your reality. If they all want to get together and say that you're ugly, right, and they collectively start to act that way, you become the ugly stink girl. You understand how comprehensive this program is and how comprehensive collective bullying is. Because that's what it is. It's collective bullying. I'm not trying to sit here and make this video all day long. They keep throwing me stuff that I'm a bully, right? They keep throwing me hints that I'm a bully. I'm not. I'm real. And I react. That's the only thing I'm guilty of, is reacting. And my reaction might be a little bit more harsh than yours. That's all it is, than what you threw at me. And really, my reaction in Florida, I don't stand by those things that I said. It was completely wrong, and I keep saying that. But what was happening to me in Florida was extreme. I was being ran off the road, y'all. I was being stalked for something I didn't do. They were using their shadow networking software on me to send me heinous things with subliminal messaging, knowing all these people are watching me, and then having them amp up. And you don't even understand the level of crazy what was happening to me in Florida was. So any reaction that I had, I'm not saying it was validated, but I'm not gaslighting myself about my reaction. It was extreme what I was going through in Florida. So yeah, that's crazy to take that reaction and try to paint me as a monster. The other things is like minor things that they're just blowing out of proportion. It's like minor little things, reactions that I've had to this program and to the covert harassment that they'll take and they'll like magnify and, use it to like malign me and smear me and paint me in a bad light. And it's terrible what's being done, man. It's horrible. Anyway, so, I forgot what I was saying. That's what it is, though. They like to paint the false narrative that I'm a bully, and it's just not true. It's completely false. And in the meantime, it's ironic because in their effort to stop bullying, what they call my quote unquote bullying, they're turning into the very bullies that they're calling me. So that's irony at its finest. But anyways, whatever. I'm trying to focus on what I was trying to tell y'all, though. So this is what they like to do. They like to throw stuff at me, make me feel like I stink sometimes, when I know I'm smelling fresh, making sure my clothes are always washed before I leave the house, spraying on perfume, brushing my teeth. The only time you might catch a breath from me is in the morning time, because obviously at that point it's morning breath, so this is why I be feeling awkward, because I'm like all night long. Hear the bird. Oh no. Heard the bird gaslighting out. Listen, y'all. Listen. Y'all heard how the bird started to go off just then, right? Anyways, at work, working the night shift, it's like, even if you're not sleeping, you're not talking all night long. You're sitting there with your mouth closed, right? Watching whatever you're watching. It's equivalent to sleeping all night long. So when morning comes and it's close, listen, y'all. Listen. Let me go run that. Y'all, that's a bird drone. I can't pause the video, unfortunately. This video recorder app is different. I'm glad that's happening. Y'all, that's a bird drone. I'm about to go run it off the porch. Hold on. Crazy. Anyways, y'all, I'm sorry. This is not, I told y'all this is a new phone. So it's not like that video recorder app I had with the Android where I can pause it. I don't have the option to pause it, unfortunately. But let me go over and see if I have that option. I don't think that I do. Hold on a minute. Let me check and see. Yeah, I don't have that option. As y'all can see, it's just stop the video. Anyways, y'all, so they were gaslighting there. I'm not gaslighting, again, trying to antagonize me by doing noise campaigns because they know I'm extremely insecure about my breath, right? Not because it smells bad, but because I've always had that insecurity. I went into details about this in my full story, y'all. I have chronic, it's not sinusitis, but it would emulate sinusitis. It's basically this deformity that I have. When I was younger, my mom took me to the nose and ear doctor. I've talked about this in detail in my full story, y'all, because my nose is always runny. And so when they were doing, their exam of my nose, they tried to stick the tube up my nose and they couldn't even really get it in there. And upon further examination, they realized that my turbines were like super swollen. And they were basically what I was told was that I have like this deformity where my nostrils are smaller than the average nostril, and they would have had to go in there and cut out some of the tissue. And so my mom was giving me the option of whether or not I wanted the surgery, and I chose not to get it. So my whole life I've always suffered with like chronic stuffy nose. And so for me, I've always been the kind of person that's like fearful of BO and, very OCD when it comes to cleanliness and that type of stuff, and, odors and that type of stuff. And so I just always had this fear of having bad breath because, I noticed that people that have colds, that are sick, usually the breath smells bad, the breath be kicking. And so I'm just like, in my head, I always felt like, well, damn, what if this runny nose causes bad breath? This is what I always used to be fearful of. And so throughout high school, throughout elementary with my friends and my cousin and my sisters and stuff, I'm always asking, my breath stink? I'm brushing so much that it's like to the point where I'm scrubbing the enamel off of my teeth, and to the point where I'm, risking gum recession because I'm scrubbing so freaking thoroughly and so often. That's how bad it used to be. I'm not as bad as I used to be, y'all. Nowhere near. I don't brush as much as I used to, and I'm not as OCD with it. But I was very fearful of having bad breath. And so my friends and my sister used to always laugh at me and tell me, Reefy, and that's just my nickname, y'all, Reefy. Reefy, your breath don't stink, your breath don't stink. And they used to be cracking up at my antics. But that was always something I was fearful of. And so later now, down the line, later in life, that phobia kind of became a thing in my cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation. Y'all got to check out my full story to hear the details. I'm not going to go into it right now. But I made the mistake and talked about that in my full story. And again, transparency and honesty, I gave them bullets to shoot me. So that's something they started to kind of utilize in my targeting and try to do this thing where they're pinching their nose and trying to pretend like my breath stinks. But they weren't doing it all of last year, y'all. I talked about in recent videos when they started doing it. They literally started doing it now at this point, it's been about 2 months maybe a month and a half or 2 months since they started trying to do that to me. And so it's just like, it's hilarious because I know I'm scrubbing the hell out of my mouth. I'm using high-end, high-quality toothpaste that doesn't have fluoride in it. I'm flossing. I'm washing my mouth with natural mouthwash that has peroxide. Peroxide kills germs and bacteria. I don't even use the fluoride, not to talk down on anyone that does. I'm not trying to be condescending. And everybody has their own method to whatever it is that they do or things that they support. I'm not really in support of fluoride, and that's just my own personal preference, right? I don't use fluoride. And also, I don't like to use mouthwash that has alcohol in it because alcohol is actually drying and it will dry your mouth out. So like Listerine and stuff, I don't use that. So I have a mouthwash in there, Dr. Bronner's. It's very expensive and really good. ThoroughFresh, I like to use that, and it has the peroxide in it. So I know I'm using that stuff and I know my breath is fresh. And I just have freshly brushed my mouth and it's minty fresh and you're acting like you're pinching, and you're so far away. I know you're not smelling my mouth. This is ridiculous. But I'm just saying, in the morning time, when I'm at work now and I've been like a whole night of work and I'm sitting there with my mouth closed the whole night, it's basically like I slept the whole night. It's basically like morning breath when morning comes. I do feel squeamish about it. I don't want to talk in anyone's face at that point because I feel like I have morning breath. My breath isn't fresh. And so anytime my coworker comes in my face and stuff, I'm wanting to freaking hide because I don't have gum to put in my mouth. I didn't freshly brush my mouth. But I just realized people don't care. Some people, they're just talking in your face. How much people talk in my face and their mouth, I smell their mouth and they don't look like they give a shit. They're talking to everyone's face and nobody's acting like they're smelling their breath. So I'm like, well, maybe I need to get more like that and just stop giving a rat's ass. But I'm just saying, that comment that I made though, like sometimes in the morning, that might be when you smell a breath from me because obviously that's morning breath. But throughout the day when I'm leaving the house and I know my mouth is smelling fresh and you're holding your nose, it's like, it's complete bullshit. But then to gaslight me just now or to antagonize me, y'all heard the bird drone going off, right? So stupidness. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say though. And obviously it's not that bad because my coworker still talks to me in my face every time. I'm not making him come up to my car to talk to me. I would think if it was that terrible, he'd be running for the hills. So, he might be smelling a little morning breath, but obviously it's not bad enough to make his nose fall off. So that's all I'm saying. They're just having a field day with me at this point, but I'm the bully, right? So anyways, whatever it is, I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh my God, I went off on a tangent. I want to hurry up and close off the video too. But yeah, so just basically this thing, man, they were doing yesterday where, sending me this thing to troll me about this dude, that basically he calls himself Ugly Nate. And he has a YouTube. The dude ain't even ugly. He's not the finest man on earth, but he actually is attractive. He's Haitian. And beauty's in the eye of the beholder anyway, right? So there's not really there is a standard, right? You have different standards of beauty depending on what part of the world you're in. But really, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Nobody's right or wrong when they call somebody ugly or beautiful. It's really just a matter of perception. But with this guy, he really, even universally speaking, I don't think people would call him ugly, but he's definitely not the kind of guy that you're going to look twice at either. He's really just average, an average looking fella, really average looking. And then to boot, he was nerdy. He had glasses, not talking down on any nerds. I'm just telling y'all what the dude looked like. He had glasses, his swag was off, and he's in the video, right? And he calls his channel Ugly Nate because, it's this joke that he goes around, right? He does these videos and he gets millions of views on it too. So he's smart for what he's doing. He goes around basically to these different public places like the beach, for instance, and spring break or something like that where girls are at. And he'll go as his initial self or what's supposed to be his real persona as the nerdy Nate. And he'll go around and hit on them and he calls himself the gentleman in that moment. And then he'll go back and change up and he'll dress himself up like a thug or whatever. He calls it a thug, gangster, whatever. Get swag or whatever it is and start to aggressively hit on the girls and act like he's, thinks he's the shit or whatever. And supposedly he's supposed to pull more girls that way. But from the video I was watching, it seemed like he was getting more girls the nerdy way than he was as the thuggish gangster persona of himself. But anyways, I don't know how that could be relative to me in any way, shape, or form. But again, if you check out that video, right? This one, the one I was just referencing, part 3, example of the shadow networking AI software used on targeted individuals. If you check out that video, you'll see that I was showing you an example of how they were using the technology on another target. He was talking about the fact that mockery is their greatest tool. Over-exaggeration and mockery. So they'll compare you to something so obscene and obnoxious that's not relative to you at all. They might have like one small thing in common with you, one slight thing, and they'll paint that obscene thing as you, and they'll be roasting that thing in the video, and you know it's supposed to be representing you. And meanwhile, everyone in the outside, the external gang stalkers, are staring at you and doing noise campaigns. So it's like, it's like a double assault psychologically, and they're coming for your self-esteem. And they're trolling you, and they're freaking roasting the hell out of you. It's just something that they do. It's ridiculous. It's like, you can't do that to me. You can't gaslight me. Because first of all, prior to my targeting, I never had an issue getting a man. Any relationship I've ever been in, I was pursued. Any relationship I've ever been in, I was the one that was pursued. And any relationship I've ever ended, or any relationship I've ever not been in, or any relationship that I've left, I don't know how to word this. Any relationship I've been in that ended, I ended it. And I'm not trying to say that to sound narcissistic, because that's the other thing they like to throw at me. It's so oxymoronic. It's like 1 minute you're painting me like the ugly, stinky bimbo, and then the next minute you're telling me that I'm a narcissist, like I'm pig-headed and I'm full of myself. So I'm just like, that's oxymoronic. Which one is it? Because if I were all of these things, why would I be narcissistic and full of myself? That doesn't really make sense to me. And then also too, you're making noise campaign when people's faces are getting messed up. Because that was something, look, listen how they got loud there. Because that was something that was happening. They sent me subliminal messaging a couple weeks ago, and about a week ago, they kept sending me, and they're still doing it. Just yesterday too. People, horrible, scary stuff, man. Like people, God forbid, Yah forbid, like getting tumors in their faces, or getting in accidents where their face is getting ruined. Just horrible stuff, man. And they're doing noise campaigns, the external gang stalkers. And so I'm just thinking to myself, well, if you think I'm that ugly, why would you want my face to be destroyed? I don't understand that. That's not really making sense. Why would you want it to be destroyed if it was so ugly? That doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not trying to sit here and sound narcissistic, because I realize they're sitting there rolling their eyes and stuff, but I'm just responding to these unprovoked attacks. That's all. Because I'll be sitting there minding my business. It's not like, I could see if I was sitting there on the bed looking in the mirror and like, oh, I'm the shit. I'm flipping my hair like this, and acting like this freaking cocky bimbo. And then they started to come at me like that. I'm not doing that. I'm laying in this house, minding my business, watching random shit. And then they're just random unprovoked attacks, man. But they're just coming for me, like coming for my self-esteem, and then doing noise campaigns outside. I'm like, what? And so this is what leads to me making these videos, and then now I sound like a cocky bitch, but I'm just defending myself and making sense out of the nonsense, the madness. It's like, why are you attacking me like that? Me going in the car. I know I look nice. I know I just put myself together. I clean up nice. I sat in the car, with the radio, shadow networking with the radio, because they do it with the radio too, y'all. They send you songs with subliminal messaging. You start to play a bunch of songs back to back about girls who only look good with makeup on. Oh, no. Or several songs like that. Girls who need makeup to look good, right? So they don't, you don't look good if you don't have makeup on. Not right now, I'm making a video, right? Like, I can't, not right now. So girls that only look good if they have makeup on, right? You start sending me songs about girls that don't look good unless they're wearing makeup. Or you start sending me songs about girls that need makeup to look good. Sorry for the interruption, y'all. That just really threw me off. But basically this thing where you're insinuating that I need makeup to look good. When first of all, I don't even wear a full face of makeup. Like some people, not to judge them, because then that sounds like I'm being judgmental. But some people are putting on like the most. They're putting on foundation, they're putting on concealer, they're putting on this, that, powder, the next. I don't even know all of the terms, y'all, because I don't wear makeup like that. I could say if that were the case, if I were putting on a full face of makeup and I was looking poppin', and then you felt the need to throw those songs at me to try to tear me down. And even still, I would say, okay, well, you obviously thought I looked good and that's why you did that, to tear me down. But I'm not even doing that. I'm putting on lip gloss, lipstick sometimes, a little lip liner. I shade my eyebrows in and I comb my hair. That's it. And you're telling me about girls that only look good with makeup on. I'm like, huh? So obviously it's this thing where you think I'm this cocky bitch and you want to tear me down. That's what it is. And it's terrible because I'm not a cocky bitch. I'm not. I'm actually very humble. And it's just you're turning me into a narcissist by constantly attacking me in that way. That's making me feel full of myself because I'm starting to feel like, well, damn, I must really be the shit. If you keep coming for me like that, pun intended, I guess. I must really be the shit if you keep coming for me like that. Or it's just this thing where I start to feel like obsessed with my self-image now too because you're obsessively attacking it. And then you're going to call me a narcissist and gaslight me about it. It's crazy. And I already explained in my narcissism video why my personality and narcissism don't match. I don't have the personality of a narcissist. It's oxymoronic to call someone like me a narcissist. It doesn't even line up. It doesn't work. So check that video out, y'all, my narcissism video. But I just wanted to talk about that briefly, y'all. Just how they can, gaslight you and come for your self-esteem and then you react and you get, again, gaslit about your reaction, and how they actually program you into kind of having like a narcissistic disposition. And then they'll make it seem like you're narcissistic when it's a reaction to their covert harassment. I've never been a narcissistic person, but you are definitely programming me into acting like one for sure with your tactics. Anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. That's it. That's all I want to talk about, y'all. That's it. That's all I want to talk about. Anyways, guys, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. I hope I didn't miss anything. Just the same old stuff, y'all. Just more documentation, man. More documentation. I think I'm going to call this again reactive abuse documentation. I guess this will be part 3. Part 3, targeted individual reactive abuse documentation. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out. Y'all, I forgot to add this to the video. I wanted to show y'all another example of shadow networking very briefly. Y'all can see this is in my history, right? I had to scroll all the way down too because they sent this to me like day before yesterday. And so I really had to scroll to find it. But it was deep into my history, right? Now I'm not seeing it again. I'm gonna have to scroll a lot. I'm not about to scroll again, guys. But this is, you can see I'm in my history, right? You can see as soon as I pulled on the screen, you see history. So obviously now I'm having to scroll again to find where this video is. But they sent this to me like day before yesterday. And this is just another example, first of all, of shadow networking. How they send you subliminal messaging to sensitize you or to troll you, to lower your self-esteem, etc. But this is what I'm talking about, y'all. This is the type of stuff they're sending me. Like, why would you send me this? I never said that I think I'm all that. I never said that I thought I was beautiful or classy or that I have like this amazing vernacular. I never said anything like that. You're saying that, so you think so. That's like when you're in high school or like elementary more so, and you say you think you're all that, to somebody that you really think is all that. You're telling the person that because you think they're all that. That's why you say that as an insult to the person. That's kind of what this was reminiscent of. And I'm like, what the heck? Why are they sending this? Is so immature. Why are you sending me this? Listen.
Pretty much, I will let Gemma know that she is a fat cunt. And the shoes that she gave me were not something that I would particularly buy for myself. They were old maiden type of shoes. And she said that those shoes were meant to be worn on a beautiful woman. So if that's the case, she should have put them back on the rack, and she should never even purchase them because she was unqualified to own those shoes if that's the case. And I think Gemma is just a disgrace. She's a disgrace to humanity, and she's a disgrace to women who are actually beautiful and classy, and she just doesn't have the vernacular that she thinks she possesses. Somebody lied to her several times and told her that she was fly, hot, and sexy and beautiful, and she's nothing like that. She's nothing of the sort.
Sorry. Yo, it cracks me up, yo. It's hilarious. I'm telling you, that's what it's about. They think I'm some sort of pig-headed, I don't know, like airhead bimbo, not airhead, wrong word, but they think like some sort of pig-headed, cocky this or that, and that's not the case. I'm acting like that because of them. It's a reaction. I'm usually very low-key into myself, very quiet. You don't hear me. I don't even like attention because I'm so awkward. I'm acting like this pig-headed person because it's like I'm just trying to show you that I know why you're coming for these things, because obviously these are things that are good about me, and I'm not going to let you break me. That's all it is. I'm not a cocky person. I'm reacting to the covert harassment. That's all I'm doing. So it's kind of like, it's not kind of like, it is gaslighting. But I just wanted to show y'all an example, another example of shadow networking, and another example of how they're, constantly just attacking me covertly. Anyway, that's, y'all, this is another add-on to the prior two clips. I know it seems like it's like add-on after add-on, but this is like a whole day later, basically. I've had a whole day since I made those last two clips, and I didn't get a chance to put them together yet. So I just said, let me add this clip in to the video as well, because more happened today, y'all. And it's not going to be a lot of talking. This is a very short clip, y'all, that I'm adding on. But I just want to talk about it because this falls in with the programming documentation and just, slightly reactive abuse in a way as well. Nothing bad, nothing negative. Just being targeted and, more stuff happening that I wanted to talk about. It's embarrassing what happens. And even though you know what's being done or whatever, it's still just this kind of way where you're still embarrassed about what's happening because your thoughts are being projected. You can't control it, as much as you try. There's this weird thing that happens, it's like, it's psychological. You can control it if you really, really try. But it's this weird thing that happens where it almost feels like you have no control of what starts popping into your head. And it's so embarrassing because your thoughts are being projected and you have no control. And then there's an element of neuromonitoring too. So they can, if they want, throw stuff in your head too. It's called thought manipulation. I don't know if that's been happening. I've already been very clear in my recent videos with the fact that I think majority of it is just psychological. I feel like 90% of it is psychological, and then I think there is like 10% element of thought manipulation at times. But it's just more stuff happened today. Nothing major, but still embarrassing, and I want to talk about it. So I went to the gym today, y'all. And remember I told y'all in the last clip, the earlier clips, that I put together my schedule, my gym schedule. It's already been put together. I already have a routine that I do. But I added a few more things, and I'm just going heavier with everything, all of the weights. And so it's really been taking a toll on me, y'all. Like, whoa, I'm talking winded. Like, when you're weightlifting, especially if you're weightlifting heavy, it puts pressure on your heart. And so that's why you have to do the right breathing methods and the proper breathing techniques. That's why they tell you to make sure that you're breathing properly. Because if you're not, you could pass out. Like, it's that intense. And so today in the gym, boy, I was already struggling in that way, right? Because I'm going heavier with everything. So I'm just like feeling winded and trying to catch myself. But then also too, I saw, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, it's an open gym, right? And it's a good gym too. It's a really good gym. It's in a good location. He has a lot of equipment in there. So it's kind of like this hidden gem, and then now me being in there, I'm a target. It's getting more traction because everybody obviously is seeing the gym when I'm there. Because remember, I'm being watched 24/7 and the video is being broadcasted to everyone on Island. So the gym is getting lit up, So I'm not really surprised if more and more people start coming because it's a really good gym. But at the same time, sometimes, I've already talked about this in prior videos, I strongly suspect, I don't want to bear false witness because I can't concretely prove this. I strongly suspect some people are sent to the gym because I'm there, like as a form of gang stalking. I suspect. I'm not bearing false witness. I suspect. So I go in there today, right? I have never, ever, ever, ever seen this guy in this gym, right? I go in there today and I see the officer that I talked about in one of my prior videos. I dedicated a whole video to this situation. Let me go over and show y'all the video. And those of you that have been subscribed to my channel, be familiar with this situation. Those of you that have been keeping up with my videos. This video with the thumbnail of me in the white shirt and the short pants, and it says more targeted individual information and more details. That 4.5-hour video, I was documenting a lot of things at that time, but then I also kind of went back in the past and told y'all about when I tried to become an auxiliary officer in 2021, right? And my targeting had started at that point. I've been targeted since 2020, but the targeting hadn't gone viral yet. So it wasn't like how it is now where it's widespread and all these people are involved and, it was not what it is now. But the targeting had started at that point. And so I remember trying to become an auxiliary officer. At that time, I'm not going to tell the whole story again because I don't want problems, y'all. I really don't. I'm just trying to let y'all know who I saw in the gym today. So if you want to really hear the full story, check out that video. I'm not about to rehash it here in this video. Just giving you like a low brief rundown, you know. Those of you that, like I said, have been keeping up with my videos, you'll be familiar with the situation. Anyway, so in 2021, that was before I had tried to relocate off island, y'all. Remember, I tried to relocate in 2022, and that was when, you know, I had the reactions I had when I discovered that the thing followed me and the targeting went viral. So prior to that, you know, I was still on island and I was teaching at the time and I was doing security at night. And so I saw this sign or this flyer that said they were looking for auxiliary officers. And auxiliary officers are basically, they're officers, they're police officers, but they're like helper officers. The way I would describe it, the analogy that I would give is the equivalent of what like a substitute teacher is to an actual teacher. So you're a teacher, you are, right? But you're not an actual teacher, you know, like a lead teacher that's creating lesson plans, that's leading the class. It's similar to that from my understanding of the job description when I read the job description. So I was like, that sounds cool. I was like, okay, that might be a better, not to say a better job. Again, I don't want to talk down insecurity. I've been doing it for years and it's come in clutch. But I felt like that would have been I don't know, I felt like I would have enjoyed doing that as a second job more than the security. And I knew it would look good on my resume. I had always been interested in law enforcement. I told you I had checked into the military several times. I was looking into it and I just never went that route. So I was like, oh my God, auxiliary officer. I was like, so I could kind of be like a police officer, you know, and kind of live low-key like that little, I don't know, it was like a fantasy I had in my head about being a police officer. I was like, let me see if I could actually do it, you know, and I didn't think that it would be a problem at this time. It wasn't like what's happening now, where it's like my targeting went viral. You know, it's kind of harder to put myself out there for certain jobs. You know, it's not the same thing like what it was before. Before, you know, I had more opportunities open to me and it wasn't this sorted, this you know, what's happening now. It wasn't like what's going on now. So anyways, I applied to the job and I'm not going to go through the whole details of it, y'all. Like I said, because that's what I'm starting to do. I'm starting to tell you the story. And I already told it in that video that you see on the screen. So check that video out, y'all, if y'all want to hear the story. But basically, there was this officer in there that I suspect, I don't want to bear false witness, I suspect he knew who I was. And not because of my targeting. Like I said, my targeting hadn't gone viral yet. And I wasn't having issues with employment at that time. As a matter of fact, I had gotten through the first interview, the second interview, similar to like what happens with the correction officer job. And, you know, I hadn't had a hard time. The officers were very kind to me. Sorry, I heard somebody driving by, y'all. The officers were very kind to me, you know, and they were jovial and they were like, you're going to really enjoy this job, you know, and after the interview, we had good conversation, you know, and they liked what I had to say. And so, the way they were talking, it sounded like for sure I had the job. They told me I had it, right? And I went through the whole physical. I did the physical. I did the psychological evaluation. I did everything. And they did the background check and everything, checked my resume. They gave me a congratulation letter that I had the job. And so then I had to go through this last step. It was like this last ultra screening step. You know, they got to do a lot for if you're going to become a police officer. That's like that's a big position, you know, because you have to be somebody that's an upstanding person. So they have to do a lot to make sure that you're somebody that's fit for the job. So after doing all of that, you know, and even getting that letter telling me I had the job, I had to go through one last person, this police officer. And he is around my age. And, you know, I could just tell he knew who I was, and not because of the targeting. I feel like he knew who I was because of the cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation. And so it just, you know, it felt like just like attitude, you know, was just very different to how the other officers operated with me. Like I could just tell, I know I've been dealing with the thing for so long, y'all. I always know when someone knows about that situation. And that thing now is just completely irrelevant compared to the targeting. It's like a whole different thing going on now. Like that thing is like, you could just say null and void compared to what's happening now. It's a whole different, I'm notorious in a different way now. But back then, like I always knew when somebody knew about that situation because how they operated with me, you know? And so I strongly suspected he knew, and he just had like this underlying, it felt like attitude with me. And so I even told my sisters about it, you know, and I was showing them the messages, and my older sister was even like, what? And she said, well, maybe he's just having a bad day. You know, she said, it's not you, Reefy. She said, he's probably just having a bad week or whatever she was telling me. Right. I was just telling her, I don't think so. You know, I said, I think he knows who I am. I'm telling you, I think he knows who I am. Anyway, so long story short, so he ended up finding something from 10 years ago, and stopping me from getting the job. Even though I was told I had the job. And so I don't want to go into the details of it because I don't want problems, y'all. And I don't want to cause friction. I'm still trying to, get through the process with the correction officer job. I don't want problems. The reason I'm giving you a brief summary is so you can understand what happened to me today in the gym. I want you to understand, the backdrop story just in case you didn't see that video, so you can understand what happened to me in the gym today when I saw him. So I went into the gym today and I saw him. I was in the different parts of the gym. And then when I went over to the main part of the gym where they have the dumbbells and, the squat machine, the Smith machine and stuff, I saw him. And instantly my brain started ticking. I could not control my brain, y'all. And of course, I didn't let that stop me from working out. I continued to do my workout. But as I'm sitting there trying to catch my breath, I'm already feeling like I'm freaking about to pass out because I'm going heavier with every workout. I'm doing way more now. I'm just my brain is ticking, y'all. I'm trying to stop the thing. I couldn't stop it. It's his name wanted to pop in my head. And it's just this thing that happens to me when at this point now, I kind of wish I don't know people's names. I wish, I don't know if y'all remember the movie Men in Black. I'm in my 30s, my early 30s, y'all. So I'm talking about the old Men in Black. The one where they had, that little pen that they used to use to erase your mind or make you forget things. I kind of wish I had that pen so I could forget people's names, because it's just the worst thing ever when your thoughts are being projected and someone's name wants to pop in your head and they can hear your thoughts. It's embarrassing and weird. And it's I cannot control it. It's the more I try to stop it from happening, the more it wants to happen. And so I'm sitting there just ticking, my brain just going crazy, y'all. I could not get control of that thing. And just throughout the whole time while I was at the gym, even after I think he left or maybe he went in the back room or wherever he went, I wasn't seeing him anymore. My brain's ticking because I know I'd talked about him in my video, first of all. And I already said this earlier in the earlier clip. I told y'all that I'm honest to a fault. And it's to the point where it's not like I want to stop opportunities or block myself up, but I'm not going to filter myself to appease others. But at the same time, I am trying to be more careful about the things I say because I don't want to keep getting in problems. But if I'm being real and honest about something and I'm telling you my story, I don't feel like, let me just be careful, y'all. I don't want problems. That's just how I am. That's just how I was made. If I'm being real, I'm being real. I'm just a very blunt and straightforward person. And I started telling that auxiliary officer story. I don't even remember what made me talk about it. It wasn't something I planned to talk about. I've been making videos since 2022, the end of 2022. And I didn't tell that story until 3 months ago. So it was random, y'all. And it was something that happened that made me talk about it. I think it was the correction officer position, because that was around the time when I applied for that. And I was just thinking about the fact that I had already tried to join law enforcement in the past in 2021. And that's what made me tell that story. I didn't intend to talk about it. It was just kind of on a whim. I talked about it and I told my story about what happened with that situation. But anyways, I didn't say anything bad about him. I really didn't. I really more so was just literally telling my experience, what happened, and what I suspected was the cause. I didn't even straight up accuse him. Even back then in this video, if you check it out, I didn't straight up accuse him of anything. I said I suspect, because I was getting a lot of passive aggression from him. It was a whole different vibe from what I got from the other officers who I could tell didn't have a preconceived notion of who they thought I was. So anyways, that's it, y'all. I had to talk about it because it's even though I know they know, again, I'm using that stimuli, they know why my brain was ticking. It's still this thing where it's embarrassing, and it's just I feel like I need to talk about it because it's it's not me. I can't control it. It's psychological. I'm seeing this person. I know I talked about him in my video. I have this past, I guess you could say bad past experience with him, kind of. And so I'm seeing him and my brain is ticking. I'm oh my God, I couldn't control the thing, and my memory is like an elephant. When I see people I know, even if I've only come into contact with you once or twice, typically I can remember a face really well. And that's from teaching for years. When you deal with a bunch of different students, you have to have that kind of memory where you remember faces and names and stuff. And so I don't forget. And it's really been a detriment to me in this program. It's so embarrassing because I keep seeing people and remembering them. And it's even there was another officer I suspect they sent in there for me as well. And I talked about him, oh my God, last year, not in any of my videos. I think I did mention recently in one of my videos, I think I mentioned that they sent him in. I suspect that they sent him in there as well. But I mentioned his name last year, at the beginning of last year. My younger sister and I, we were in the room talking, right? And she and I were just, shooting the shit, talking, pungin melee. That's what we call it in the islands. Pungin melee just means like, I don't want to say gossiping. That sounds bad. Not really gossiping. But when you're just sitting and talking about stuff, and maybe memories and different things that's happened in your life with a friend or a sister or whatever. My younger sister and I, we were in the room and we were just talking about, stuff that happened in the past and guys we dated. And then we started talking about my older sister and some of the men she dated in the past, and the fact that a lot of guys used to like her back in the day before she got married, right? And so we were talking about just some of the different dudes that she dated. And somehow we very briefly ended up mentioning this guy, this officer that she dated very briefly. Like it was a fly-by-night type of thing. Like I think she hung out with him once or twice at most, right? And one of the times she hung out with him, I was in the back seat. I used to be with her everywhere. We used to do everything together. My older sister and I. They used to call her the head and me the tail. Like we were that close. And so when it came to dating and stuff, I was always tagging along with her. We used to do a lot of double dates back in the day too. So anyway, I remember her good friend had kind of introduced her to this dude. She was talking to one of the guys and I think he had a friend and I don't even remember how the situation went, but she met him through her friend. And so they hung out like once or twice. And she said she didn't like him like that because he was too quiet. He was too shy. Not a bad looking guy, very attractive. It's not anything like that done here in Rooster Drone or whatever. I'm not coming for the guy. He's an attractive guy. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm just saying the reason she didn't like him was because he was too shy and quiet. She's similar to me. Like she likes, not really though, like it's weird with her. She's like a mix of my sister and my younger sister and me. Like my younger sister likes to date quiet guys, kind of like not quiet, like she likes laid back kind of guys. My younger sister likes the cool guy that's not the showboat. So like you have a crew of dudes and some of them are alpha guys. You have like your alpha males and then you have your beta males, etc., etc. And then you have your sigma male. I'm kind of like I'm a sigma female. I explained that to you all. But more so like sigma males is what my younger sister likes. As a matter of fact, she always laughs at the fact that she likes men that are like me. She always says that she likes men with my personality. So basically that person that's like a leader in a way, but they're not the leader of the pack. That's the type of dude she likes. So like the dude that can be by himself, the lone wolf type of dude, but still the kind of dude that can lead the pack. That's like an alpha, right? That's what my younger sister likes. My older sister, it's like she likes a mix of that type of guy mixed with, I don't want to say the showboat, but like the super extroverted type of dude. And that's kind of like a mix of what my younger sister and I like. Because like I said, my younger sister likes more of the sigma male type of dude that kind of could be the lone wolf. And I like typically the extroverted, sometimes showboatish type dude. And I know that sounds stupid. It's like, why would you like the showboat? But the reason is because I've always been extremely introverted. And so I found myself being attracted to guys that are not necessarily showboats, but very outgoing, very outspoken, gregarious, the kind of guy that can like work a room, that type of thing. That's usually the type of guy I'm attracted to. And I think that's because that's what I lack in myself, because I'm socially inept. I stay to myself. I'm more like a lone wolf type of female, And so I found myself being attracted to that type of dude, like the class clown or, the guy that's just like cracking jokes, talking to everybody, knows everybody, that type of thing. That's usually been the type of man that I've been attracted to. And so this guy was just not my sister's type. He was like, she likes a mix of things. Like I said, she likes kind of like the lone wolf, kind of quiet guy, but still kind of like more outspoken. And I don't know what his personality is. I don't know him like that. But from the interaction she and him had, he was too reserved for her. She likes guys that are a little bit more talkative. And so what she was explaining to me was the conversation between the two of them was awkward. I was sat there. I was in the car one night. I remember, this is why I said my memory, I'm like an elephant. I do remember that the conversation seemed kind of awkward. It's so annoying, y'all, when you're trying to make a video and you have somebody like breathing down your neck. Like, I'm trying not to be that way, right? I don't want to do that, right? But I'm going to stop. Because then if I say stuff, I get in problem. I'm going to chill and continue with the video, right? It's irritating. Y'all know how the noise campaign is. It's so irritating. Some people are more involved with you than others. Like, and it's like, you can't, it's like, what is going on? Anyway, anyways, guys, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to respond. I already know about being responsive. But anyway, so long story short, because I'm going off on a tangent, I have a bad habit of doing that, y'all. The point is with that officer now, this is not the one that I had the interaction with, the auxiliary officer experience. I'm talking about another officer that I suspect they sent in there for me. With him, what my sister and I talked about was the fact that, you know, a lot of guys used to like her back in the day, and she turned down different guys, and, you know, she wasn't interested in certain guys. And so I remembered, you know, we just briefly talked about him. We were just talking about some of the many dudes that she dated that she didn't like that for simple reasons. And so we brought him up. I didn't say anything bad about him. In fact, I think what I said was good. I said, you know, she even talked to a police officer. That was a good catch, I think is what I said, or something along those lines. And I said, but she just didn't like him because the personality. And I can relate. I'm the same way. Like, I've talked to so many guys and I don't vibe with them in that way, and so it doesn't work. I have a unique personality. We all do, my sisters and I. Not to say like we're super special or anything like that, but we do have like this like kind of unique personality, all of us, in our own different individual way. And so that's why we tend to attract or like I don't want to say eccentric men. That's reaching. I don't want to say eccentric men, but in a way kind of eccentric men, or, you know, you feel like you have to be super special, and, you know, like, it's nothing like that. We like regular dudes. But I'm just saying, it's like kind of like this different kind of personality that we got going on here. So it's just like, it doesn't work with everyone. My younger sister more so, because my younger sister is more so the social butterfly out of the three of us, right? She's more sociable. So she's the kind that can get along or have chemistry with just about anyone as far as men goes, you know, because of her personality. My older sister, again, is like a mix of my younger sister and myself. She's an ambivert. So she's a mix of extroverted and introverted. And so it's this kind of way where she can't just vibe with just necessarily anybody. And me too, even more so. Like, it really takes a unique personality for me to even, you know, start to entertain or like it, you know, because it's like, if I'm not vibing with the personality, you know, they keep trying to make it like I'm this vain person. I've talked to some very good looking men, and the personality just did not match with mine, and I was completely not interested. Like, it has to be a certain personality that makes me feel comfortable, and that I have chemistry with, you know, where I feel like I can open up. Because a lot of guys, like, they make me feel uncomfortable, and then the conversation is like weird and awkward, and it's just like, you know. So anyway, that's what was going on with that guy though. So basically the chemistry was off. She was saying basically like the conversation was awkward because he was very reserved, at least with her. Maybe he's not like that in general, I don't know him, but I'm just saying with her that night, it was like he was too reserved, and so that's why she didn't like him like that. So I briefly mentioned him, y'all. You know, my sister and I, we mentioned so much different dudes and different people, right? And we briefly mentioned him. They're listening like a hawk, and they heard me mention him very briefly. You know, when I start going to the gym, I start realizing I'm seeing this guy in the gym. And I didn't even catch on at first that that's who it was. But my memory is so damn good. You know, it's like the third time of going to the gym that I started to realize. I said, shit, wait a minute. I said, wait, that's the cop. You know, that's the dude that my sister talked to back in the day. I was like, what? You know, I started to realize what was going on. And so that was when I started realizing, I don't want to bear false witness, but it seems like they might have sent him to the gym for me, you know. And so the more I noticed it, the more it became more evident that that's likely what was going on, because I noticed too, like, you know, oftentimes it could be a coincidence. I don't want to bear false witness. Like, I'll be in one part of the gym and I'll move, and I'll notice he'll move to that part of the gym. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck? You know, I'm like, I didn't say nothing bad about him. You know, I could even more so see them gang stalking me with the auxiliary officer guy, you know, that I was talking about, that I had the brain tick issue with today. Because that was more, I went more in depth with him. I talked about him in a video, you know, I could understand that a little bit more. But with that other guy, it's like, I didn't talk about him in a video. My sister and I briefly mentioned him along with a bunch of other men. And some of the men we talked about more than we did him. You know, I was just like, what? You know, what? I didn't understand that. But that's just kind of something that I noticed. It seems like they do to gang stalk me or whatever, because I mentioned certain things. I didn't talk about him in a video though. So I don't understand that. It's not like I talked about him in my videos. It was something we talked about. And yeah, they're staring at us. I'm not going to stop living my life and having conversations because you're staring at me. But we talked about him briefly, and then, you know, I noticed him in the gym too. I'm like, what is going on? Anyway, so it's this thing. When I start to remember the face and the name, y'all, because I'm going off on a tangent, it's like my brain starts ticking, and it's embarrassing, and it's like they're getting a kick out of it too. It's like, it's horrible. It's like entertainment for them. I'm like, that's terrible, man. And I don't know when they're going to stop and just like leave, like let it go. Like, I said sorry. I don't know how long is this going to happen. When are they planning to stop? Anyway, so that's what happened today, y'all. My brain was ticking and it was just like the most embarrassing thing ever, but I still got through my workout. I didn't do the whole workout, and I know they probably think it was because of that, and it really wasn't. That did, I'm not gonna lie, that did play a part in it. But really what it was I just wanted to get my body acclimated to the gym again, because Friday was Easter Friday, so the gym was closed. I didn't work out on the weekend. Saturday I had the agility test for the correction officer position. My body was feeling tired. And then I forgot to eat breakfast this morning. And I'm going heavier. I'm lifting heavy. Every workout I'm doing, I'm going way heavier. And so I was just feeling really winded and, just trying to catch myself. And I said, let me not do all of my workouts today. So let me just do half of them, and then I'll come back next time and do everything. And then on top of things, to add insult to injury, my brain was ticking with that officer. And so I just was like, let me just leave after I do half of my workout. But I just want to talk about it, y'all, because again, this is just more documentation of programming and also kind of reactive abuse. I didn't really have a bad reaction as in like saying negative things, but more so like my brain ticking where I couldn't even control it. It's so embarrassing. Anyway, y'all, that's it. That's all I want to talk about. Video done for real now. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.